SN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
We're back on the Financial Survival Network. This is Kerry Lutz, and we're real happy to have Joe Messina back from therealside.com. Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Kerry. How are you doing?
I don't know, because some of these stories make me feel like I need to have a daily sanity check. How about you?
It's a Twilight Zone episode. But it's a 24-hour Twilight Zone episode, isn't it, with some of the stuff going on?
I think it's a continuous episode that never ends. I mean, I just looked at my eco-friendly water bottle, and I know I'm evil because I should be just having filtered water all the time, and I shouldn't use these bottles because they are harmful to the environment. But on this bottle of water, it says smaller cap equals less plastic. And it says, did you notice this bottle has an Eco Slim cap? And I won't read the rest of it. And then underneath it, there's a warning label, and it says cap is a small part and poses a choking hazard, particularly for children. And then next to it, it says we can all make a difference. Please recycle. So in other words, it's better to use less plastic, smaller cap, and screw the kiddies. Let them choke on the cap if that's what's going to happen, right?
We could have a new green slogan: "Save the planet, not the kids."
Yeah, save the planet, kill the kids, and we'll all be better off.
Oh God! You know, I just love this. You and I were talking earlier about how they've made this plastic so thin, and not just the cap, the rest of the bottle, where you almost can't open it without getting water all over yourself. You got to grab the bottle a little bit. But, you know, again, think about that. We've got to put a warning on everything now because we can't figure out as adults, you know, what might harm our children or even ourselves. But that's come on, people. We can't put a thicker cap on there. Save us some aggravation.
It's nuts. And you can't hold the bottle because it basically is shapeless. It's a shape-shifting bottle because it has no support. I mean, you need to hold it with like a cup holder or something, or just pour the contents into a cup or one of those travel cups and just toss the bottle, right? So what's the point of having it? Just use a big bottle now. Get the large liter bottle and just pour it into a travel cup, right?
Well, what frustrates me the most is that, you know, we pay taxes for clean water. We pay local water companies to deliver nice water. And then what do we have? I have my water bill for the stuff that comes out of the tap, and I have my water bill for the stuff that comes in plastic containers at the house every month too. You know, if the government wants to get involved, how about you really get involved the right way, huh? How's that? So I don't have to buy 2 different kinds of water. Yeah,
well, you know, if you don't mind fluoridated water that's like undrinkable, that you're wondering whether it's safe to even water your lawn with, although I don't think you're allowed to do that in California anymore anyway.
Now, wait a minute, Kerry. Wait a minute. Are you suggesting that the government would be supplying something to us that wouldn't be good for us?
Well, you know, maybe it's a stretch.
For God's sake. You know, we're being monitored by NSA, so keep it down.
Hey, and you did hear that they're going to release the list of, you know, our buddy Edward Snow and Glenn Greenwald. They're going to release the list of the NSA targets, all however many million of them, and it's going to be interesting when you find out who's on there. If you're on there, if your neighbor's on there, if your old girlfriend from high school's on there, who the heck knows who's on there?
You know, what I love about this is did you see the interview with him, with Snowden, when he said, look, when I gave out that data, I didn't expect them to publish it all. I sent it to the different news organizations, and I said, look, if, you know, you need to know what's going on, and, you know, be careful as to how you handle the information. And, you know, my expectation is that you don't cause any harm for anybody. Well, come on. This is like throwing fresh meat in a lion's den. I don't expect you to eat it all, and don't get crazy, and, you know, make sure you leave enough for everybody else. Come on, give me a break.
Well,
he knew exactly what he was doing.
But look, though, targeting millions of Americans, there can't be that many homegrown terrorists in America here, Joe, right?
And they'll tell you they're not necessarily, they're looking for the crosstalk that, that the terrorists here are trying to recruit, or the terrorists from overseas are trying to recruit people here. This new, what's his name, Bowden fellow, that could have been something they could have picked up. You watch what happens with this whole story and the NSA talking about how to keep us safe. And it'll all be Bush's fault, ultimately. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do if you're on the list here, Joe?
I'm going to sue the government. I can change my phone number. You know what? Chances are we are on the list. Like, hey, look, anybody who's continually or on a fairly regular basis talking about how bad the government is or how corrupt this current administration is, it's got to be picked up by them in some way, shape, manner, or form.
Yeah, and why is that? Why would you be on the list? Are you a threat?
Me and my 16 listeners, we're really going to hurt the government. Yeah, if you think about what the administration has done over the last couple, since day one, really, but if you really think about how hard they've come down on releasing information or allowing information to be released from the White House, they want to regulate. You want to talk about communism at its finest. They want to regulate every word that comes out of there, every picture. I don't know if people remember, or if you remember, about 8 months ago or 9 months ago, they basically came down and said, no more photographers in the events. We will supply, pictures from a White House photographer in some of these meetings, events, talks, whatever, and they'll decide what you get to see or don't see. I got to believe some of that was from some of those pictures that were being put out with Michelle giving little snarkies at Mr. O.
Yeah, and what about that video that came out of him working out? How did that happen? Well, was
that a workout? I didn't know what that was exactly. I couldn't really tell if he was trying to fix something in the weight room or what, because it didn't look like much of a work. I do more of a workout going up and down my stairs to the studio than that guy was doing in that picture.
Yeah, well,
And I'm sure he goes out and has a cigarette right after it. That would have been great. It would have been great for somebody to catch him doing that whole workout, wiping his face, 6 minutes later, and then going out and having a cigarette to congratulate himself for all the work he's done.
Yeah, I don't know how it got out of the Ministry of Truth. Amazing. So, hey, what about this middle school teacher who was suspended for showing a video about white actors wearing blackface? I mean, that never happened in the U.S., did it?
No. God, they call guys like me real nutcases because we keep talking about how our history is being rewritten by the progressives or history being rewritten by the PC police, right? It's just nuts. Here's the situation where a teacher, not like it was a shop teacher who just was getting stupid. This is a history teacher in a small town in Michigan. And they figured that this is part of history. This is part of, she was doing a piece on the segregation days in the Jim Crow era. Well, I'm sorry. Are we not supposed to let our kids know about what took place in this country? This country's made mistakes over the years. We're still a great country, but we've made mistakes, and we need to let our young people know what those mistakes were and the ugliness we've had at some point in time in our history. How do you stay away from it if you don't know about it? And here's even a better one. There's a woman who had a daughter in the class, and she said this had nothing to do with racism, and her husband is black.
Yeah.
She said this was all about history. We should be teaching our kids about this. Why is this teacher being reprimanded? Why? Because the PC police are just all over this. We've gotten to the point now where anything, and this is the funny part about it, anything that is kind of negative towards an African American in history, we want to stay away from because I don't know if it's because we feel bad about it. I mean, God forbid we should feel bad about something we did wrong, right? But is it because we feel bad about it or because we just want to keep ugliness away from our kids? I can't figure this out.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Al Jolson, one of the greatest entertainers of all time, in The Jazz Singer in 1927, wore blackface, and he was known for this, and he performed in a Harlem nightclub. It's history, so better get over it. Subsequently, after the outcry of parents for this guy being suspended, and by the way, he was retiring, and he was prohibited from going to all all functions of the school, even his own retirement party. Subsequently, that was his suspension was rescinded due to the outcry, and I guess all was normal. But the assistant principal who did this said that the mere depiction of this racism was racist in itself. You know?
Amazing.
Yeah. Jeez. That's almost as bad as this one that you sent me of the teacher seeking dating advice from fourth graders, which, they seem to be a font of dating advice, don't they?
Well, let me see. I'm thinking that when I was younger and dating, whenever I thought about how to figure out how to really the proper dating moves, I would go seek the advice of elementary school kids because I know they're on top of these things all the time. But this was a substitute teacher for fourth graders. Now, for those who may not be able to figure this out quickly, fourth graders are they're about 9 years old, 8, 9 years old. So here we have a substitute teacher. She is 45 years old, and she teaches in the Bronx, and she goes into her class. She's having some dating issues. We all have those moments in our younger life. And so what she did was, there was only 5 students in the class that day, 5 or 6 students. But even so, she, broke them up. She had to do some role playing, and they just went through the dating scene that she was going through with the 2 different men to come up with the proper way she should deal with them, which one she should stay with, which one she should get rid of, how she should handle one in particular that wasn't returning her phone calls. And I'm sure that she got some great advice from what she calls her little munchkins. And the bottom line was she was fired. I don't think she should have been fired. I think she should have been reprimanded, maybe suspended or something. But she was trying to have a lighthearted moment, but she somehow lost her brain. Maybe it got sucked out in her fiery conversation with her boyfriend or something. I don't know, but come on, fourth graders. And how does somebody like this get past the interview process? That's what I want to know, because this doesn't come out one morning.
Well, fortunately, she was a substitute teacher, so they can be fired. If she had tenure, forget about it. But more on this when we return on the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
When your accountant wants tax-free income, this is what he does. Accountants know the law. They also know that any American could legally get paid up to 3 times per month, 100% tax-free. That's 36 tax-free checks each year. It doesn't matter what you make already. This simple strategy could work for anyone. Go to www.irsrevenge2.com to learn how. That's irsrevenge2.com.
FSN Radio.
Do you have Medicare or health insurance through your employer? If so, listen up. The healthcare reform wasn't written to save the healthcare industry or even to lower healthcare costs. Shoot, it isn't even designed to insure the uninsured. It's just a temporary political byproduct. Like a flat rock you step on in a swiftly moving stream, Obamacare is just a means to an end. Want to learn more about Obama's ultimate objective? Then you'll want to review our latest research presentation found on oclies.com. In it, a health expert and industry insider explains what you think you know about caring for your health is about to drastically change in 2014. Plus, he details the simple steps you could take to save thousands of dollars per year in health costs. It's free for you to preview at oclies.com. Don't waste time. What you don't know about the healthcare reform could hurt you and your family.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
We're back. We're speaking with Joe Messina of therealside.com. Joe, why didn't they just send her to a re-education camp? Because they're so effective. They're used in many parts of the world, and they could have knocked some sense into her head. But Joe, if she had tenure, then they would have just had to shrug their shoulders, because basically a tenured teacher could do anything. You remember the story of the 2 female teachers who got caught during an assembly that was taking place in their school. They were doing various acts that we can't really talk about because this is a family show after all, and went all the way to the appellate division of the state Supreme Court in New York, and they said as long as class wasn't taking place, then basically anything goes, and they got their jobs back with back pay, and, you know, that's the way it works in New York City. So, you know, it's like perhaps if she was asking 12-year-olds, they're a bit more experienced in these matters, especially in New York. I mean, they are the recipients of a major condom giveaway, and I think they get the morning after pill as well in New York. If they're not, they should be getting it, right? So they would probably be more skilled and adept in these matters, right?
Well, yeah, you know, I did a story about 2 months ago on college campuses in Illinois. They were selling the morning after pill for $25 in vending machines.
Oh, really?
And I'm saying,
why so much?
Well, unless you have a government subsidy card, maybe. I don't know. But
isn't that covered by Obamacare? Along with extended warranties for sex toys, I think that's included in the broad range of services there.
At this point, it should be. It's crazy. You know, our young people are in so much trouble.
They don't even know. Speaking of schools, so kid in Colorado Springs, second grader, they ask, right, what happens? They ask him, what do you see in the cloud? And what does he see?
They're doing this thing in the elementary school. And come on, we try to get kids to use their imagination. We want them to think things through. And so the teacher says, no, I want you to go outside, look at the cloud formations. You know, we're going to have some fun, run around a little bit, but I want you to go look at the cloud formations. And I want you to come in and draw a picture using your imagination of what you saw out there. Mm-hmm. So the kid little Cody comes back in, and he sits down, and he draws a picture of a gun.
Yeah.
And the teacher goes nuts. Basically, because you listen, if he's drawing a picture of a gun, he is for sure going to be a major shooter in a school in the next few years where he can actually get his hands on an actual firearm.
Oh, right.
So anyway, they felt like they had to intervene here and help change his way of thinking, you know, because we don't want little boys, 8-year-olds especially, to be thinking about guns, you know, and being soldiers and being policemen and that kind of thing. I mean, God forbid, we don't want them to think any of that.
Right. So, well, if, you know, it wasn't an AR-15 that he saw, was it?
No, he just drew a little, you know, automatic handgun. But here's the comment. This will make you, I don't know if this will make you cry or laugh or anything like that. So the school official says, our primary responsibility as a school district is to ensure the safety of all staff, students, and community. Whoa. I'm sorry, what is so dangerous about a cloud gun? And then goes on to say, we exercise an age-appropriate reaction to the incident.
Yeah, which is
what? You know, they didn't suspend the kid, but they were bringing him in to re-educate him.
Oh, so he gets to go to a re-education camp.
Yeah.
I hear those camps are great in North Korea. Maybe he could go there for the summer.
Well, I was thinking what you're thinking. I said, well, we don't have to build one. They already have them in North Korea and a few other places. We just send them over there, right?
Well, if he had drawn a condom, he probably would have gotten a gold star, right?
I know, huh? Jeez, oh God, don't do that. Yeah, you know, and here was the saving grace, according to the official. Ready for this one? The only thing that goes into a student's permanent record is an expulsion. So this won't be a problem. Because this isn't going, well, then in that case, if it's not going to be permanent, no problem. I mean, come on. These, you know who has to go to the re-education camps is these administrators. They're grabbing these kids for every little thing. The one girl, I think we did this story a couple of times ago when I was on your show, where one administrator went up and told a girl to stop praying in the cafeteria over her food. That it made other people uncomfortable, and it really didn't do anything anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, these administrators are constantly stepping over their, you know, what they should be doing.
Yeah, it's just nuts. Well, you got one story here about this one. They want to take the kid at the nurse to have a private 5-minute conversation with your child. I mean, what's that one about?
Oh my God, isn't that sick? In I think, what was that, Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan, right.
Okay.
Michigan Medical Records access law.
Right, but here's the deal. The new law also gives the nurse, when you take your child in for, I don't know, a routine examination or maybe to check out a cold or whatever. Now the nurse is required to take your child away alone to have a 5-minute conversation, or up to 5 minutes to have a conversation with them. And it is to find out whether you're being abused, or and in some cases, maybe your parents have guns at home. We need to know about. We need to know about the mental state. We're going to ask the child about the mental state of the parent.
Oh, great.
Okay? And
maybe they'll ask a kid for dating advice too while they're at it, right?
Yes, and whether when they look
if your
at
kid's
sky,
9 years old, right? If your kid's 9 years old, they might know something about it.
It's amazing. Could you imagine? I don't know, a 6 or 7 or 8 year old saying, we're going to take you away from your mommy for about 5 minutes. And we're going to go sit in a room. We're just going to have a nice little conversation. And and then you get in the other room, and the nurse starts asking you, so how do mommy and daddy get along? Does daddy have any guns at home? Do you see daddy shooting up with little? I mean, what are you talking about for 5 minutes?
Hey, I went to the doctor, a new doctor, not too long ago, and they're asking me questions, and then says, "Well, how much do you drink?" And I'm like, "Not much." Well, do you ever drink more than 6 drinks at a time? And I'm like, looking at her like, not lately. It's like, none of your business. But anyway, I don't happen to be a big drinker.
But, again, what's that all about? I mean, unless she's worried about your liver, unless she says, look, your liver looks a little large here. What are you drinking? That's one thing. You can sit there and start,
I wasn't there for a liver scan. I was not there for a liver scan. And it's like, hey, all right, like I'm not displaying symptoms of, cirrhosis here. I'm not like turning yellow. My eyes weren't yellow. This is not why I was there. A routine checkup here. So it's like you're just being nosy here and, trying to accumulate or aggregate information for Obamacare. It's like none of your business, and I don't need you analyzing my drinking habits here. Please. It's like,
think about how much information they're going to have on you, Kerry. I mean, not just you, but obviously all the medical general populace. When we go to the single payer plan, that information will be available to everybody anywhere, including the government. And you know how well they protect their info.
Sending out, Obamacare to get programmed in Belarus because they really care about data integrity there. And Joe, we're wrapping up now, so just tell us where we find you, get your newsletter, all that.
Yep, you can find me at therealside.com, where you can find out what stations I'm on, the times, pick up the classic podcast, and sign up for the newsletter. I don't send junk. I just let you know who's coming up on the show. No big deal. Make it easy reading. All
right. Hey, and of course, link will be found in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Got an update coming on our article that we did about the World Trade Center and all that good stuff. So just go there, subscribe to the newsletter, and we'll be talking to you in a week or so, Joe. So you be well.
You too. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.